atashuka hapo.
On the afternoon of March 3, 2026, something terrifying unfolded in the heart of Nairobi. What started as a normal business day quickly turned into chaos when a 7-story commercial building suddenly burst into flames. Within minutes, thick smoke filled the corridors, stairwells became death traps, and dozens of people realized they were trapped inside a burning structure with no clear way out. Families screamed for help, traders abandoned their shops, and crowds gathered in shock as the fire swallowed one of Eastleigh's busiest buildings. What happened that day at Yare Plaza shocked the entire city, and the desperate escapes that followed would leave witnesses speechless. To understand why this disaster hit so hard, you first need to understand Eastleigh. Often called Little Mogadishu, Eastleigh is one of the busiest commercial districts in East Africa. Every day thousands of traders, wholesalers, shop owners, then customers move through its crowded streets. The area is known for its vibrant business environment, where buildings are packed with merchandise and activity from morning until late evening. Many people depend on these businesses for their daily income, and entire families rely on what happens inside these busy commercial buildings. Right in the center of this bustling district stood Yare Plaza, a 7-story commercial building that housed dozens of businesses. Inside were clothing wholesalers, electronics stores, fabric dealers, and small offices stacked across several floors. On the upper levels, there was also a mosque where worshippers gathered for daily prayers. On any normal afternoon, hundreds of people could be inside the building at the same time. Traders negotiating deals, customers shopping, workers delivering goods, and families accompanying their parents. The building was always full of life, noise, and business. But on the afternoon of March 3, everything changed. Witnesses say the first signs of trouble came from the middle floors of the building. Smoke began leaking out of the windows somewhere around the 3rd or 4th floor. At first, some people thought it might be something small, maybe a kitchen accident or a gas cylinder problem. In crowded commercial buildings like this, small fires are not completely unusual. But within minutes it became clear that this was something much worse. The smoke quickly turned thick, black, and aggressive. Massive clouds poured out of the windows and spread across the surrounding streets. People nearby began pointing at the building as the situation escalated.
Not Iran, bro. It's not Iran. It is case of the fire. Maisha. Ama ingine amekuja.
Then suddenly, flames burst through broken windows. The heat shattered glass, and pieces of debris began falling toward the street below. Inside the building, panic erupted. People on the lower floors rushed toward the exits as quickly as they could. Staircases filled with people pushing, shouting, then trying to escape before the fire spread further. Some traders tried desperately to grab whatever goods they could carry. Others abandoned everything they had worked for and ran for their lives. The smoke made it difficult to see and even harder to breathe. But the most terrifying situation was unfolding above the fire. The flames and smoke had already blocked the main stairwells. This meant that people on the 5th, 6th, and 7th floors suddenly found themselves trapped inside a burning building. Imagine standing on the 6th floor and realizing that the only staircase is filled with smoke so thick you cannot even see your own hand. Below you, flames are spreading through the structure. The heat is rising, and the air is becoming harder to breathe with every passing second. You hear people shouting, coughing, and screaming around you, but you have no idea if help is coming.
አስረኛ አይደለም ከአስረኛ ቀጥሎ ያለው 11ኛ መንገድ ላይ 11ኛ መንገድ በጣም ከባድ እሳት ነው። በዛ አይነት እሳት አይቻላልም። 10ኛ አይደለም 10th street at Eastleigh. Sorry bro. Kenya. It's not Iran. It's in Nairobi, Kenya. Nairobi, Kenya. Eastleigh, 11th Street.
That was the reality for dozens of people inside Yare Plaza. As emergency calls flooded in, Nairobi City County firefighters and police units rushed to the scene. Ambulances were dispatched immediately. Within minutes, the streets around the building were filled with sirens and flashing lights. But there was a major problem. Eastleigh's streets are notoriously narrow and crowded. On a normal day, traffic barely moves through the area. Now, with hundreds of people running away from the fire and curious bystanders gathering to watch, the congestion became even worse. Fire trucks struggled to push through the gridlocked streets. Precious minutes were lost as emergency vehicles tried to reach the burning building. When firefighters finally arrived and began spraying water into the structure, the fire had already spread across multiple floors. The materials inside the building made the situation even more dangerous. Shops were packed with clothing, fabric, cardboard packaging, electronics, and plastic containers. All of these materials are highly flammable. Once the fire started spreading, it burned hot and fast, turning entire floors into fuel. While firefighters battled the flames from the ground, the people trapped on the upper floors realized they could not wait any longer. They had to find another way out. Some survivors began searching for anything that could help them escape. A few found ropes. Others grabbed electric cables hanging along the building. And then something incredible happened. In scenes captured by people on the streets below, men and women began lowering themselves down the outside walls of the burning building. One man climbed out of a window several floors up and grabbed onto a cable. Slowly and carefully, he began sliding down the side of the building while flames burned around him and smoke covered his body. The crowd below watched in complete silence, afraid to even breathe as he moved from one floor to the next. If his grip slipped even for a moment, the fall would have been deadly. But somehow he kept going. When he finally reached the ground safely, the crowd erupted in cheers. Other survivors escaped in equally dramatic ways. Some climbed across narrow ledges to nearby buildings. Others jumped small gaps between rooftops while people on the other side stretched out their arms to pull them to safety. Strangers helped strangers, risking their own lives to save people they had never met before. These were not trained rescue workers. They were ordinary traders, customers, then workers who had walked into the building expecting a normal day. Within minutes, they were forced to make life or death decisions using nothing but courage and instinct. Eventually, rescue teams managed to reach some of the people who had gathered on the rooftop. Those trapped there waved their arms and shouted for help as smoke rose from below. Emergency responders carefully brought them down one by one. Remarkably, many people survived the disaster with only minor injuries such as cuts, bruises, and smoke inhalation. Considering how intense the fire was, some observers described the outcome as nothing short of a miracle. But even after the flames were extinguished, one disturbing question remained. What caused the fire? Authorities immediately launched an investigation, but in the hours following the disaster, rumors began spreading across social media and within the Eastleigh community. Some unverified claims suggested that the fire might not have been an accident at all. According to those circulating reports, the blaze may have been linked to a domestic dispute involving a shop tenancy and personal family conflicts. It is important to note that these claims have not been confirmed by officials.
It is Eastleigh.
Sana.